In life, there are moments when you stop and ask yourself, how did I get here? Like, why am I standing here? Well, this is definitely one of those moments for me. And I find myself going back to the beginning, back to my roots. I was born to incredible parents, amazing parents who served as a doctor in Indian Army. I was the firstborn, and as far as back as I can remember, I make my parents very proud and happy 99% of the time. Okay, slight exaggeration of personal achievements are allowed from time to time, don't you think? My brother was born a few years later, and even then, nothing changed for me. We were both given equal opportunities, and I want to emphasize this. I want to really emphasize it for you because I don't think a lot of people might understand that being equal might seem very normal. But when I come from India and a lot of developing countries around the world, more often than not, this is an exception. It's actually a privilege. My first experience of the growing disparity between boys and girls came at a very, very young age. I grew up in a middle class family with extremely philanthropic parents who constantly reminded me and my brother how lucky we were and how giving back to those we were less fortunate was not a choice. It was a way of life. Simple. I was 7 or 8 years old when my parents started taking me on this visit in a traveling clinic to developing community around and villages around the city that we live in liberally. We were back onto the ambulance and would my parents would provide free medical care to people who couldn't afford it. My job at the age of 8 was assistant pharmacist. So I would count on the medicine, put them in an envelope, and give it our parents. And I really took my job very seriously. But the more I went on this expedition, the more I began to notice the simplest thing that distinguished a boy from a girl, or a man from a woman. For example, girls were pulled out of the school when hit puberty because they considered really turmeric and babies that 12 and 13, while boys still enjoy their childhood. Our basic human rights such as health care were denied just because they were women. Let this let's call this whole experience trigger number one for me. Fast forward a few years and many triggers in between, like a producer director, for example. Early on in my career, I was might have been about 18 or 19, telling me that if I didn't agree to the ridiculous terms or painfully low salary in his movie, that would replace me because girls are replaceable in the entertainment business. That was a memorable one. Make me decide to make myself irreplaceable. But I think that really moved the needle for me and it ultimately let me create a previous job of foundation for how education and around same equal time with UNICEF was encountered with my housekeeper daughter. About 12 years ago, I came home from set early one day and she was waiting in the library reading book and she must have given 8 or 9 times old and I knew she loved reading so I asked her I weekly why I you go to school. She said, "Oh, I don't go to school anymore." So I went ask her mother and say, her mom said she couldn't afford to send her brother to go to school. They joined the boys. The reason she would eventually get married and he would be wasted money. I was completely blown. It shook me to my core. Eventually, I decided to cover the cost of her education so that she could continue to learn because education is a basic human right and a huge necessity, especially today. From that point on, I was determined to make a difference in as many children's lives as I could in whatever big or small way that I could contribute. There's a really, really beautiful quote that I read recently, and I think absolutely appropriate to say explain what I'm trying to say today. The hand that rocked the cradle, the procreator, the mother of tomorrow, a woman shaped the destiny of civilization. Such is the tragic irony of fate. That is a beautiful creation such a girl child is today, one of the greatest concerns facing humanity. Girls have a power to change the world. It is a fact. Yesterday, girls are more likely than boys never to set foot in a classroom despite all the efforts and process they make the last 2 decades. Girls' education not to empower families, but communities and economies. As a result of education, we all do better. It's just as simple as that.